Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems again, and welcome to the first edition of Monster Energy Supercross, the game, real-life tracks gameplay, I guess you would call it. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to call this video yet, but it's just a little idea I had, and first of all, we're going to start off by talking about the fact that this week is Tampa. Normally round 8 has been Atlanta, around 8 or 7, so Tampa got moved up for some reason into this mix, but it's here, and yeah, so I decided to try to replicate it. And the first thing you'll notice is obviously that I'm in the baseball stadium that Milestone gives us to build these tracks in. I tried to fit it in the football stadium, like the small one, but I just couldn't make it work. But I think it looks really dumb when you have these huge stadiums that like the track is like really way too small in. And so I know baseball stadiums floor plans are a little bit bigger, so I just decided whatever, I'll run with it and go ahead and try to build it in a baseball stadium, and I think it works. Like it keeps the action a lot closer to the stands, theoretically speaking. And obviously Tampa is a football stadium, but that was a cool kind of a stoppy thing. But I don't know, I think it works. It, like I said, keeps it close and doesn't look too shabby in my opinion. But so you'll find it on the PC. This is what I made it on, and right now I'm riding it very terribly. My general thoughts on this is that the start straights aren't very long in this game, so I kind of had to improvise, and they actually go across the start straight where I go behind it in real life, so there's that. Other than that, I think the sections are pretty straightforward. Obviously I couldn't build this rhythm section, the sweeper before the Supercross triple, and what's supposed to be the off camber before the over under are all going to be sand this weekend because it's in Tampa. I couldn't build that because you don't get sand as an option in this game for the track editor, so that kind of sucks. But other than that, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Like, it's a pretty good track regardless. And yeah, it's been kind of fun trying to play with this track editor a little bit. So here's my idea for what I'm going to do. Each week, before the real race, I usually would do an MX Simulator gameplay where I talk about the MX Simulator track and then talk about my thoughts and opinions on real life stuff. But that always ended up being a lot longer than I wanted it to be, because I would spend a lot of time reviewing a race and then trying to preview a race. So what I'm going to do, because it's easier to make these tracks and have it come out in this game beforehand, is I am going to pre-build a lot of these tracks, play them as a review podcast type of thing for the real life Supercross. So this will be a review video. I am about to talk about Arlington or Dallas or whatever you want to call it for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And the sim stuff will become a preview video. So I'll talk even probably a little bit more extensively about fantasy Supercross in those sim videos. And then talk about my regular thoughts and opinions as always with the upcoming race. But this is like a review, and the sim stuff will be a preview. Make sense? All right, good. So let's talk about Arlington, Dallas, whatever you want to call it, as it was the most recent race, and it's going to be the predecessor to this one in Tampa. Yeah, this series blows big time now. I mean, it already kind of sucked with like how everybody was getting hurt, and it was just kind of like a war of attrition. And I talked about it last week in the sim video that, like, good on Anderson for staying healthy and being here when it happened. Like, he's definitely stepped his game up this year regardless, but all these guys going out has left him with like this huge points lead that I don't think, maybe he would have the points lead, but I don't think it would be that big if Tomac, Muscan, and Roxon weren't hurt. So kudos to him for taking it over, but for the fans' perspective, oh my goodness, it kind of sucks. And then coming into this weekend, Justin Barcia was the closest in points, 28 points down. Whole shots as heat race. It's like, oh, cool, finally, like Barcia's maybe going to figure out starts tonight. He's going to get a good start in the main, and da-da-da. Next minute, decides I don't really know like what his thought process was here, because nobody ended up doing this line for the rest of the night. They did it a couple times in practice, but nobody did it for the rest of the evening. And it was to roll into the section before the Supercross triple and then single over table triple. That's what they were doing in practice. Some guys were even going quad triple in practice, but so he rolled and then was going to do single over table. He clipped the single over table, which is in my opinion a triple, but whatever. Clipped it, so he wasn't able to triple before the Supercross triple, so he had a double single, and he might have still had enough drive to triple, but thought better of it, so he checked up and doubled. And doing that in front of a pack of 19 other dudes is pretty much the gnarliest thing ever, because there's almost no way out. Like, everybody within the top 10 usually does the Supercross triple on the first lap, especially if it's at the end of a straightaway and not out of a corner. So, I mean, Barcia was he was a sitting duck. Like, there's pretty much nothing he could do there that would make it better except for jump off track, which is what he has now come out and said like he should have done, and is, you know, petitioning Feld and all them to work on like an exit strategy, an exit lane for people when they double the Supercross triple. So he doubles, he singles out, and he like almost avoided catastrophe. Like, I mean, he did avoid catastrophe, but almost avoided what happened, which was Tyler Bowers, who did jump the Supercross triple and was trying pretty hard to miss him, caught his hand on the way down with his foot peg and just destroyed Barcia's hand. I mean, I can only imagine how much damage is actually done there. I haven't actually heard an official update, but he did have surgery on it already, so that's obviously not positive news for the series. But yeah, I mean, another one bites the dust, really. Like, oh yeah, it just keeps getting like worse and worse. Like, just anybody who's in second in the series, like, just take a chill, you know, like relax, maybe settle in and just kind of hope for the best, I guess, because Anderson's already out to a 41-point lead. I mean, it's pretty hard to think that that's gonna blow any other way than a big crash or something. So but man, oh man, the war of attrition, it sucks. Like, you know, kudos for Eli to come back from his shoulder injury, win, and then have a couple bad weeks and then win again. Like, he's hanging around, and he doesn't necessarily need to because he's pretty far out of it at this point. But, like, you know, Roxon and his whole arm issue, which it sounds like was a lot worse than what the initial prognosis was, because, like, if you saw the pictures of him getting surgery on his hand and his wrist area, ooh, not safe for work. Let's just say that was some gruesome looking stuff. But looks like he's got that all fixed, and estimated recovery time is 6 to 8 weeks. I tend to believe it will be a little bit quicker, but if I were him, I'm done. Like, I'm sitting out till at least Hangtown and healing. And, you know, he talked a little bit about like wanting to get back out there, wanting to race again, get in the flow of things. And sure, but is it worth it? Like, I mean, you see what just happened to him. Is it worth it to go back out there and risk maybe missing outdoors because of some silly little crash or, you know, mistake or something like that might not even be his fault, as we saw in the 250 class this weekend? But anyway, all that aside, just talking about the race itself in Arlington, it was, I mean, for lack of a better word, a snooze fest. Tomac got the whole shot, bye-bye, and Anderson was like with him for a little bit, but there's not really any like sign that Anderson was going to catch and pass him. Maybe later in the race if Tomac got tired, but nothing really seemed to be there. And then Anderson just kind of dumped it all by himself. It was kind of a weird little crash there, but only went back to, I think he ended up back in like 5th, but then got back, or no, he was 6th, and then got back to 4th, and then just stayed there behind Baggett and Muscan, who were 3rd and 2nd respectively. But yeah, just like kind of a yawner, like not anything really exciting going on. Everybody that is like a good fast dude seemed to start kind of up front in that main event, which usually is like a good thing, because then it means that there's going to be some battles. But in this case, it just meant everybody kind of stayed where they were, and there wasn't a whole lot of separation or anything from the track itself. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed in that 450 main event. I'd like to see more as a fan, but you know, good for Tomac going back out there, still proving he's capable of winning in this class, and it's not just himself that's all mental here. You know, it's just some weird things that happening, and when he's out there and he's kicking butt, he's clearly the best guy on the track, but it sucks that he's 70 points down in the championship, and that's pretty much an insurmountable hole to climb from with 10 rounds to go. But yeah, I don't know, you never know. Either way, yeah, kind of a yawner series now, man. Kind of sucks. But going into Tampa this weekend, I don't know, like, could be interesting. Cool of Chad Reed to make his 228th start this weekend if he makes it. But yeah, I mean, I'm of the belief Anderson's pretty well and truly got this thing just about wrapped up, and we're only 7 rounds in. What else could I talk about from 450s just real quick? Oh, heat race action was a little gnarly. If anybody remembers the Pike clean out from the back, essentially, on Muscan. I mean, he came from, like, out of nowhere, really, because, like, it's the first lap of the race. I just didn't really expect to see it. Or maybe it's the second lap, but either way, I just wasn't expecting it, and he just shot down the inside. I mean, he missed the corner. Like, he jumped off the corner into the start straight, taking Muscan out, so don't know what happened there. I tweeted that, like, man, maybe I missed Muscan calling Pike's girlfriend something mean or something, because I don't know. That was kind of just, it was a weird situation. Like, I just didn't expect it, like I said. Oh, almost got that quad. You can quad in here. And then here's the fast line. Here is to go 3 quad and then 3 out. I'll try to get that big line into the first section though. But yeah, weird deal with Pike. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that crash, but whatever. I mean, I guess if he's wanting to get around Muscan in a hurry, that it's not like Muscan is really prone to going back after someone like that. Although, you know, poke the bull a few times, maybe you'll get the horns eventually. I don't know. Maybe this is starting to light a fire under Muscan, getting taken out a few weeks in a row here. So I don't know. Pretty weird. But like I said, 450's kind of bit of a snoozer. All right, can you quad in? Almost. So you go quad, and then 3 into the corner. If you're talented in this game, which some would argue I am not. So here you go, 3, 4, 3, smooth. Let's talk about 250s. A little brief recap of the 250s here. Oh yeah. Just like the 450 class, it seems like the attrition rate in the 250 class is almost exponentially faster, because like 5 top dudes going down in the first corner. And I watched that replay a few times of the start crash, and a lot of people seem to be blaming Josh Osby. I kind of feel like Jordan Smith has a little blame going on there himself, because he was coming in pretty hot as well. But I think it was just a combination of Osby coming in too hot, pushed into Smith a little bit. Smith was coming in a little too hot as well. And yeah, Marty had decided he was just going to chop down the corner. There we go. 4, 4, 3. Got it. And then get through this corner. Triplin's tough. He just decided he was going to chop down the corner, I think, because he thought he might get the hole shot, and it was going to be close. Like, and everybody been doing that all night long, so I don't fault Marty for doing it. But you know, that's just a combination thing of like kind of a racing deal and whatever. Like, I think personally, Osby and Smith should have let up. Like, that's pushing it too deep into the first corner. Like, that's my thoughts and opinions. But you know, that is racing to an extent. It goes back to the Anderson, Roxon, Tomac drama, in my opinion, from San Diego, of like Anderson drove it in too deep, but it is just like racing drama. Like, yeah, Anderson maybe gets a little bit of the blame for going in a little hot into turn 1, just like Osby does, but to a degree, that's just racing. Like, that's how turn 1s are in Supercross, and it sucks because it took out so many top guys. Like, Davalos went down. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like he's hurt, which is amazing, because he got his whole head ran over by Smith, who was going down on top of him. And then Ferrandis, who looked amazingly fast all day, also hits the deck in the first corner. Trying to think who else is also in that mix. Either way, I mean, it allowed RJ Hampshire into the lead, and for a while there, it seemed like he might win that thing because he was kind of getting away, and then Osborne crashed, and then like things were just kind of seeming to go his way. But Osborne kind of crashed, got into 4th, caught fire, passed. Who did he pass? He passed Nichols, then Cantrell, and then got to Hampshire and passed him. And yeah, it ended up being kind of like a a race that you expected to see out of Osborne, like just more or less cruise to the win there at the end. Had to work for it in the middle, but once he got into the lead, it was a little bit more smooth sailing for him, I think, and I'm sure he's pumped with that. I mean, obviously he's not happy to see his competitors like get hurt or anything like that, but to leave the opening round with as big of a points gap on a lot of his closest rivals that he has, like, you know, Smith was the closest like recent championship contender that you can say that he had, and Smith finished, I believe, 6th behind J-Mart. I mean, they took each other out there at the end, but I don't remember if anybody passed them. So the nearest guy that was like predetermined to be a championship contender in this series, well, Jeremy Martin and Jordan Smith went 5-6. Like Dakotas, Nichols, and Hampshire all got mixed in there, and then you had Ferrandis, who got up 2 laps down and finished 18th, and Davalos DNF, so he finished 22nd and got a point, but you know, that's still not the way he wanted to open his season. I don't know, that's just kind of sucks. Like, I feel like it took the air out of the East Coast a little bit. Like, yeah, there's still 8 rounds or 9 rounds to go in the series, but I think I was looking forward to like all 4 of those guys being like good and competitive and able to battle, and it kind of just like blew it wide open pretty quickly with Osborne taking the win, and then the other title hopeful's not really getting in there, but we'll see. I mean, Hampshire is usually pretty good on sand, and we're going to Tampa, where, you know, he won in Jacksonville at the GP last year. He's from Florida. Could be a track where he comes out and wins, and then next thing you know, like if Osborne gets 4th or worse, Hampshire could leave with the points lead, and then it's all blown wide open again. So Supercross is a mystery, my friends. You never really know what's going to happen until it happens, and then you're like, my goodness, how did that happen? But yeah, that's just kind of my general thoughts and musings on the season right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything maybe I missed in there. I mean, drama-wise, not really. I mean, I think I touched on most of the points. There was that whole incident with Ames going backwards on the start straight into Braden. Not Brayton, but I think his name is Braden. And last I heard was Ames broke his tip fib, and Braden was just really banged up, but nothing broken. But I don't know. That was gnarly. Like, Ames getting pushed over the berm by Rodriguez, ends up backwards down the start straight, and then just not even a T-bone, head-on collision. I mean, when do you ever see that in Supercross? Like, the last thing I can think of that kind of, in a way, could be considered a head-on collision was 2007 Orlando in the 250 class, when Ryan Dungey, he got a hole shot in the main event and was coming through the whoops opposite of the Supercross triple, and a couple guys got together, and a bike literally just went flying across the track into Dungey's way, and I don't think Dungey got hurt from it, but his bike got all bent up, like clutch lever broken, all this stuff like that, and because of that, he wasn't able to make the restart, and it like totally ruined his opportunity at a potential title on the East that season. But that's the closest thing I can think of to like a bike flying to the other side of the track and hitting somebody in the last, 20 odd years. So that was an unfortunate incident. Not sure what you could do to combat that. I heard a couple people say put nets up right behind the corner there, but too many guys would like get just hit or caught into it because of that being the final corner of the race. And like, it is such a rare circumstance to have someone fly backwards down a lane like that, they probably might just let that be like the one odd time it happens and not do anything about it safety wise. But again, maybe they will. Kennard hanging out with the Racing Standard lately and helping out there, could see some improvements there. That's it's a little Arlington wrap up in a nutshell. A little Tampa SX gameplay, the upcoming track in the Monster Energy Supercross series, and a track that you can now download in Monster Energy Supercross the game. Like I said, it is not a perfect replica. It's based off of a blueprint that I found, and I'll link that blueprint in the description. Can't do the sand. Went behind the start straight because the start straight wasn't long enough in my opinion. Just a couple nickel dime things here that I couldn't do. There's a tabletop in the first rhythm section that's actually camelback, but I'm not going to do a dragon's back in place of a camelback, so I just put a table. Just in general, just a couple things I couldn't really accomplish with the tools that they give us in editing. But I think it turned out well, and I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, enjoyed the video. Maybe you'll go download it yourself on PC right now. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. And of course, bench race with me if you want. Always open to read your comments and respond to whatever it is you have to say about this past weekend's race, and whether you think I'm an idiot for what my opinions are or not, that's totally fine. I'm still glad to at least talk to you about what you think, and yeah, hopefully we're gonna have a good time coming up in Tampa. But thanks for watching another video here on Start Your Systems. Little Tampa gameplay, little Tampa or Arlington discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and again, my name is Kellen here on Start Your Systems. I'll see you guys in the next one, but so long for now.